Do you feel like your guitar solos are a little boring, right? You're in the right key, you're playing the right scale, they're just lifeless, a little robotic, not really much emotion coming out. Well, a bunch of people will tell you to play with more feel. We see it all over the internet, right? There's videos about it. The problem is, we as students don't know what that means. And we as teachers also don't know what that means. It's one of the most misunderstood words, terms, definitions in guitar playing. So today I'm going to do my best to show you how to truly play with feel. If you do not know, my name is Ryan Gahn. I've been helping hundreds of guitar players over the last 20 years really bridge the gap between the creative ideas and what they're able to play, becoming fully fretboard fluent. If you would, please hit the subscribe and bell notification below to get more videos on how to make your guitar playing better. Now, let's jump in. This all started with somebody who is in our mentorship program. It was the beginning. We were doing a one-on-one session. It was fantastic. They were like, please don't tell me to just play with more feel. I don't really know what that means. And they don't. They said a teacher was trying to just drill that into them without showing them what that means. And then I do recall another video floating around, and someone was talking about playing with feel. And they took a really simple lick. Cool. And then he was like, oh, well, maybe if you slide. And then maybe cut one of the notes short. Right? And going through all of these tools, techniques to add feel to your playing. The problem was that was just adding technique to almost nothing. Let's go into what's actually happening into actually play with feel. We need to attach ourselves linguistically to what we are saying. Music is a language. The guitar is just a voice that we're singing or speaking that language through. So if I have a lick and I'm not really attached to what's happening, right, I'm not going to be able to do anything to give it feel, to make it compelling. Think of it like this. A line in a script. A story. We're telling a story with our guitar solos. That's what we love about our favorite guitar players, is they're communicating. They are telling a story. So we need to attach to what's being said, the script. If that is a line in the script, based on what was happening before, what's happening after, what it is that I'm playing, if I'm continuing the story, as long as I'm attached to that phrase, to that purpose, then what I'm adding to it will be deliberate, right? I like to use a little bit more of an extreme example. Let's take the line, what the hell, all right? Let's script in a movie. If I were to play it with that sort of attack, like, what the hell, would be like, has a lot of tension, I'm really picking into the strings. Great, that's pushed forward. That might work in the context of the solo. Awesome, right? That feel is there because I'm attached linguistically to that phrase and it makes sense in the story flow. But maybe makes a little bit more sense, right? If I say, what the hell, all right? That whispering is a deliberate choice because it makes sense in the story. So that could be feel. I'm attaching linguistically to it. I'm not just or playing it randomly, right? I'm not just doing this. That doesn't really have that much feel. Even if I try to take it and add some slides and some hammer-ons and what have you, I'm not really doing a whole lot. I could even scream that. I need to attach myself to it. This is where we get that minutia of what it is that we're playing. Why we have players like Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimi Hendrix playing with tons of feel, and people who play their exact same solos don't. They are attached to what it is that they are playing. So that is number one. Taking our techniques, our bends, our vibratos, playing a little bit ahead of the beat to add some urgency, right, in that line. Maybe pulling behind the beat to spotlight it. It might be a little bit more relaxed, right? More dynamic, pushing it. adding that rake in there to add some severity, right? You add some severity, you really pick into it, you push it a little ahead of the beat. That's going to have a ton of urgency. If I bring it back, play a couple of those notes a little longer, drift behind the beat, play it a little quieter, right? Maybe legato going into it. I don't need to cut the note short. That cutting short, right, is going to add the intensity. So there's a million ways that we can do it, but those are all techniques. Are we playing to the phrase? So now if I have these technique variables, right, cutting the note shorter, picking them, right, the dynamic, like picking much louder. We could talk about like timing, moving ahead, right? These are all ways these are all things that are going to push the urgency, or moving the timing backwards a little bit, playing a little softer, playing the notes one into the next, right? I'm not playing any staccato, I'm not cutting them short, doing a little bit of a whisper, right? That's going to give me a little bit more of a relaxed feel. Now, this is what's really great, is when we can attach to that phrase and the solo and the story as a whole, we have the flexibility of not having actual language the way lyrics do or a script does. So as long as we're making these choices deliberately and not just turning them on and turning them off, right? Then we're going to have like not a 3-dimensional solo, not a 4-dimensional solo, not a 5-dimensional solo. We have so much more because I could push a soft phrase ahead of the beat. That gives me softer picking delivery, but more urgency. Maybe I'm whispering it, but what the hell are you doing? Right? I'm getting like right in there, right? Maybe I have something really severe to say, but I'm sitting back in a chair and I'm just saying it, you know. Right? Sounds kind of severe, but relaxed, right? It's tense, but relaxed, right? So these are the choices that we can make. Now, where do we start doing this? We want to start understanding these phrases pretty early on, how these notes are interacting. You know, a great place to start is this phrase just in general tense or not? Is it ending on a tension note, right? In my minor pentatonic. Am I ending on the root note? That is going to be the most relaxed. If my root note, very relaxed, you know. Am I going to be ending on a tension note, a flat 3 or a flat 7? That's what I was doing here. That flat 3 gives me so much tension. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a tense phrase. It's going to be tense wording. I can choose how I want to say it, but that is going to be tense wording. This is going to be more subdued, relaxed phrasing, right? Settled in. If I can build this sort of tension and release, and say this whole paragraph with these phrases, now I'm playing linguistically, and then I can decide with all of these, you know, feels, right, or tools, techniques in my toolbox, how it is that I want to say it. A great technique, if we're playing with the root note, right, is that's going to give us more relaxed phrasing. Even if I end there. Okay, the majority of the ends of those phrases are root notes. That's going to keep me down here. I'm pretty relaxed. Taking that pentatonic, if I move to playing more 4s and 5s, okay, so I still have a root note in there, but those phrases were centered a little bit more around the 4 or the 5 of the scale, okay? That is going to bring the intensity level up here, okay? I'm not yelling, I'm not screaming, I'm not saying anything severe, but I'm up here now. And then jumping up is if I'm primarily focused on my flat 3s or my flat 7s. Flat 7. Flat 3. That's going to jump my severity up here. So if I can know that and lay this story out a little bit more, right, creating a nice relaxed feel with primarily root notes. I can hit other notes, of course, to end the phrase, but a majority of the ends of my phrases, my long notes, my important notes beat-wise, root notes, I can jump up here. Majority of those notes are going to be 5s and 4s. Majority of those notes are going to be flat 7s and flat 3s. And then I can adjust with all of the other techniques how it is that I want to say that. And the best part is you get to choose. So long as you're doing it deliberately, it will come across as playing with feel. Bottom line, you cannot add feel to a line if you don't know what you're saying. The best part too is the more we get into this, the more that we're drawing from what we just played and how we're playing it to like the next line to the next line. And then it moves to even larger, like this paragraph of the story to this paragraph to the story to this paragraph. And then the whole thing becomes very cohesive. All of the phrases make sense, the script makes sense, and the feel really, really makes sense. And getting out of just, I don't know, man, these are the right notes. I'm playing the right notes. Why doesn't it sound good? And let's be honest, we all get stuck in that surface level, right? Just being like, all right, I don't know, that sounds cool. Give me the next position of the minor pentatonic. Oh, give me modes, right? None of that is going to help you play more memorable, more compelling guitar solos with actual feel. In fact, those more notes, that's going to make it a little bit more confusing and a little bit more difficult. So if you truly want to do it, play with feel. Give every single note a purpose, right? You need a system. It can't just be random YouTube videos online. So if you are stuck there, right? Robotic, boring guitar solos without that feel, I have a couple resources for you. There is a free Fretboard Fluency training in the description. We'd love for you to check that out. And if you feel ready for our Fretboard Fluency Mentorship program, there is a link in the description as well to book a free call and get the system, the step-by-step to make your guitar playing absolutely amazing. You stayed to the end. I really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe and bell notification, and I will see you in the next video.